Hi everyone, my name is Chelsea. Welcome to Little Mountain Ranch. I'm really happy to have you here with me today. We are going to do some harvesting. I have a ton of harvesting to do up in the garden. We have carrots, zucchini, what else do we have to harvest up there? Celery, a whole bunch of herbs, probably some cabbage, and I don't know what else. I actually haven't been down to the garden in the last couple of days, so I'm sure there's going to be a ton to harvest. Right now we're down in my high tunnel with all the cheery volunteer sunflowers. Every single one of these sunflowers that you can see are volunteers. Isn't that one beautiful? So I just wanted to take a quick wander through here and see where we're at with the tomatoes ripening. I did come down and pick tomatoes 2 days ago, but I can see we have some more to pick as well. Red ones, some blushing ones happening there. Oh dear, the back of my high tunnel blew off, and that's not good because we are getting very cold at night. We were down to 6 degrees Celsius last night, which is really cold for tomatoes. In fact, I can probably come along now and just cut off all of the extra green growth on these tomatoes because none of the flowers that are forming on these are going to have time to actually develop fruit. So maybe that's something that we'll do too, is just come in and hack all this stuff off and fix the back of this greenhouse. The most challenging part of growing in our climate, so we're in a zone 3B. We have around 110 frost-free days here. But that's not the challenging part. The challenging part is our cool nighttime temperatures. Pretty much all throughout the summer, usually it hovers around 10 degrees Celsius at night. Sometimes we'll get the occasional day or night that's warmer than that. But this time of year, when we're still getting pretty hot during the day, it can get way down to just about frost level. In fact, we usually get a light frost in August, not a killing frost, but a light frost. And that pretty much stops any tomato production at all and definitely slows down the ripening. So what I have done in years past is put some plug-in heaters in my high tunnel at night, and I may very well do that again this year. I was kind of hoping it was going to stay warmer, but that doesn't seem to be the case. It's pretty chilly in here right now, actually. Where are we at? Just around 55 degrees Fahrenheit, which is around 12 degrees Celsius. So that's kind of borderline for tomatoes and peppers. They really prefer to be above, actually, let's just close this up. They prefer to be above 10 degrees at night. Oh, I just wanted to quickly update those of you that are following along with the BC fires. The fires are just absolutely terrible right now. I'm filming this on Saturday. On the weekend, just after BC declared a state of emergency due to the extreme wildfire behavior over the last 48 hours. And I know tons of people down in the Okanagan, in around the Kelowna area have been evacuated. I think over 20,000 at this point. Our entire town was evacuated back in 2017. And we were actually evacuated ourselves for a month and a half. And it was really scary, really stressful to be away from your home, forced to be away from your home, and then to have the possibility that you might not have a home to come back to. So my heart goes out to everyone that is in that situation right now. One of my sons is actually working up in the Northwest Territories right now, and he said that fire came right up to where he's working, and some villages have been lost up in that region. It's the worst fire season ever on record here in Canada. I think we're going to start with the carrots. Yeah, let's start down with the carrots. My carrots have been being munched on by mice. We're having a terrible mouse year this year. We have some traps set around the base of our house to try to keep the mice from coming into the house. It's early actually for them to be trying to get inside, but they are. And I think we caught 6 in the last 2 days, which is just gross. I do not like mice at all. I really need to get into my garden and do some mowing in my pathways. Definitely missed these zucchinis. Now the question is, where can I set you so that you can actually see what I'm doing here? the weeds are a little high in the garden right now. So I think we'll start at this end over here. Oh my gosh, these are so lovely. Oh, this one had been munched on so much that when I pulled it, the carrot just broke right off. Here, let me show you. Look at that. More chew marks. Look at those. Beautiful. My soil is so nice down here that these are just pulling out beautifully. I pulled this carrot out of the garden the other day when we were down here together, and I just left it on the ground and forgot to pick it back up. Look at that. Completely munched on. All right, so we have beautiful looking carrots here. Just gorgeous. So I'm going to load all the carrots up into the wagon. I just found my missing teacup in the garden. Looks like it did get a little bit too cold for this squash leaf. You can see. So this is just going to shrivel up and dry up now. This lower part of the garden here, down by the hayfield, it gets the coldest down in the low-lying areas, of course, tends to get frost first. So I'm not really surprised to see this. This is just a tiny little bit, but we're definitely days away now from an actual frost. Usually the frosts that we get this time of year are really light, and they'll just kind of nip at the edges of the plants like I just showed you down there, but they normally don't kill them out until in September. I think I'm gonna have to get somebody stronger than me to haul that wagon. Up here by the tap, I have this plan this year of putting each bed to bed for the winter as I clear them out. So I have the garlic one cleared out here. I started working on it, but with harvest season in full swing and doing so much preserving and canning, I might just need to wait until in towards the end of September before I can really get these beds all put away for the winter. I am hoping to do a no-till again next year. Like I mentioned in one of my last videos, I really like the configuration of the garden this year, and I like having all the grass in the pathways. It's really easy to maintain. I just mow it down once every couple weeks. But as you can see, it's really encroaching, or the grass pathways are really encroaching on the bed itself. So I do want to get in here and get it all cut out and then amend these beds this fall so I don't have to worry about doing it in the springtime. The frost did get up into this part of the garden too. Oh, I'm gonna have to go check the rest of the squash plants. You can see this. That's frost damage, all up over there, over there. Some more serious looking damage right there, but the rest of the plant is still doing well. So as long as it doesn't get too cold over the next couple weeks, these should have a few more weeks to grow, and that is a good thing since the squash on here are puncey. These are butternut squash. I usually have a hard time growing butternut squash unless we have a really good year here. Let's see, did these guys get any frost damage? No, so the pumpkins are still looking just fine, but we'll go check down over here and see how these squash fared. So far, so good. Nope, these guys are all looking great. Tons and tons of patty pan squash in there that we need to harvest too. But let's get the carrots taken care of first. And these carrots are going to go down into the root cellar. The nice big carrots, and the bigger the carrot, the better they tend to store over the long run. You know, I don't actually have to bring that wagon all the way up to the tap because I have some hoses here. So I think I'll just get it up to right by this area here, and we'll do it here. I also have a bunch of parsley that we're definitely going to get harvested today. I'd like to pick some of these beautiful straw flowers This is the first year I've grown straw flowers, and I had no idea that they would get so huge and kind of take over the herb bed here. Next year I'll plant just a few flowers in the herb bed and leave the rest of it to the herbs, because they are getting a little bit choked out here, as you can see by all the beautiful flowers. Blackbirds, I noticed that they were coming in this morning and starting to eat the seeds. If it warms up a little bit later today, I'm going to go up and check on my hives. I did a couple of splits on my hives, and a split is when you take some bees and some baby bees and some pollen and some nectar out of one hive and start a new hive with it. And I did that, and I just need to go check and make sure that they made a queen so that they can hatch out enough babies to make it through the winter. They need a fairly decent sized colony of bees in order to make it through the winter, because they use the heat of their bodies to stay warm when it's really cold. So maybe we'll do that a little bit later too. But right now, let's get this cart up here and get these carrots washed. I'm gonna actually have to go down and grab some bins to put them in down into the root cellar. Okay. So all of these tops, you can actually use these. I don't, because I'm not a huge fan of the flavor of carrot tops, but these are going to be going over to the chickens and the pigs. Normally I would have way more carrots to go into our root cellar than this. I do have another patch of carrots that I won't be harvesting probably until the end of September. They're just not very big right now. Up in the crop garden where the potatoes and the onions are. But those ones got planted very late because I was away for a lot of the month of June. So I'm not going to have the best carrot harvest this year. However, the same place that I bought all of those peaches from the other day also sells bulk root vegetables in the fall. So depending on how many I actually end up getting in the root cellar, I will probably go and buy some bags. Hi, honey. Some bags of carrots from them and just put those into the root cellar, because they store well. We'll take you into the root cellar as soon as we're done this. And I'll show you, for those of you that are new to our channel, our root cellar was built in, we think, around the 1930s or so, and then it was updated in the 1980s. And we are able to store root vegetables in there until into May, sometimes even June. We actually just took a couple of boxes of carrots out of there just now, and we're into August, that we're all, of course, sprouted and everything. But if you had to eat them, you could. Just didn't have a lot of flavor. And those ones went to the pigs. We still have 2 pigs left. So we did get out of pigs. We're not breeding pigs anymore. But we weren't able to sell 2 of the last remaining piglets, so we're raising those up. And we'll either sell them for meat. We have a lot of meat right now. We don't really need any more. So we might sell them as processed pork in November, or we'll process them ourselves and put them into the freezer. So, and honestly, I'm not really minding having a couple of pigs, because they can eat a ton of wasted veg, which is really nice. I'm gonna have to get into composting. Hi, Oakley. I'm gonna have to get into making my own compost with veggie waste. You wanna come say hi? Come on. Hi, buddy. How are you? How's it going? Oh, you're such a good boy. See you later, bud. Go get him. He's such a sweet boy. He's like a lanky teenager right now. Okay, we're just about through these, and then I'm going to give them a wash off, let them dry in the sunshine. A lot of people don't wash off their produce before they put it into the root cellar, and I'm not one of those people. I like to wash my produce off, because that way when I bring it up into the house, it is already clean. I haven't noticed that it impacts the storageability of it to any great degree. And then I'm not running all of that dirt in the wintertime down into my septic system, which is not good for it. We're going to let these dry off a little bit in the sun before we put them into the root cellar. So this has definitely been the worst pickling cucumber year we have ever had. That's for sure. I have not picked that many out of here. Oh, I can see a little bit of frost on these guys. See that? It would be really great if we could get another 2 weeks for these squash before we get a hard frost. It's a little bit tricky to figure out when to harvest your squash when you live in a climate like ours, because what you're probably used to seeing with squash plants and harvesting in more southern climates is that the vines will all be died back and they will go in and pick all of their squash. In our case, our vines will not naturally die back. They will be killed off by frost. And when frost hits the surface of a squash or a pumpkin, it actually can cause damage to it. It's still usable, but it's not usually good for storage. So what I usually do is keep a really close eye on the weather. When the tops of these leaves have been killed off by frost, that's usually when I will harvest my squash. And I normally have to cure my squash on my deck. I don't usually get to field cure my squash. This one's a little bit bigger than I like to harvest them at, but still totally edible, just a little bit seedy. Any more patty pans in here? Yep. If you have a small garden and you enjoy summer squash, definitely plant one of these, but only plant one because they are quite prolific. I also have a big, gorgeous cabbage that I need to get harvested here because I have a feeling it's going to split very soon. The kale, I am going to leave and process this last because I don't think it's at a huge risk of bolting. Actually, I lied. This looks like it's going to, so I'm just gonna snap off that middle part here. And I'll harvest this all at once, and I'm planning on making a green powder for winter smoothies out of these guys. But they can handle hard frost, and they actually get sweeter with a frost. So those will be last to come out of the garden. Look at how big and beautiful this nasturtium is. This is a volunteer nasturtium, and it's just huge. So gorgeous. We have a couple of cauliflower. It is the year of the cauliflower. We'll have to grab those two guys too, which is good because I wanted to make some fancy pickles with cauliflower and peppers and carrots and celery, all kinds of good stuff. I use these kinds of carrots that go into my root cellar for soup and stew. We eat a lot of soups and stews in the winter time. And that's what I use these for. Oh, that one's got a split in it, so that will go into the we need to use pile. We don't like canned carrots, pressure canned carrots in our house at all. And because we have a root cellar, this is our preferred method to store. But we do love pickled carrots, so we are going to do some pickled carrots. We'll probably turn these big guys over there into pickled carrots. Oh, these guys were also put up to the house. Okay, I'm just gonna let the back side of these dry off now in the sun, and then we'll go down to the root cellar. Oh my word! Look at that! Wow! We're also gonna get some celery. That one looks gorgeous. I don't think I'll need more than one. And then parsley. Let's go put this in our wagon. Parsley, we're gonna take right down to the base again. Look at that. Little mint in there. Lots of bees in here. Hopefully I don't get stung. The bees are working very hard to put up their winter stores. Look at those. How beautiful. Okay, bring these. There's my yarn from the other day. Let's bring that down to the greenhouse and grab whatever tomatoes we need to grab out of there. And then we'll head up to the house. So I need to open up the greenhouse at this point because this is the way it is here. It's cold at night and then it can be blazing hot. Might have enough to run a canner through. Sun golds. That should about do us for today's harvest. Before we take all the produce up to the house, let's go into the root cellar and I'll show those of you that are new to our ranch, our root cellar. This is the entrance and there's a 15-foot hallway that goes down into the cellar itself. And then we have a concrete wall on this side, and then the rest of it is just dirt. And then there's these sonotubes that hold up the concrete ceiling. Those are just the boards that they used for pouring the concrete. And then we place all our produce. Super humble little root cellar, but it works like a charm. They knew how to build things back in the day. So we're gonna get our carrots put down into here. All my bins and bags and stuff that I had, everything stored in last year, just gonna sit out here in the sun so that the UV rays can do their work. All right, my friends, we are back inside and I have some prep work started here in the kitchen. I have chopped up some Spanish sweet onions here. This recipe does call for pearl onions or pickling onions, but I don't have either of those. So I did the sweet onions and I chopped them up like this. And I did this last year and we really liked it. I'm using the recipe for Jardiniere out of the complete book of home preserving here. And if I can find this recipe online somewhere, I will link it for you down in the show notes. It is so incredibly delicious. I also have some garlic peeled here. And this recipe calls for 3 garlic cloves and I'm quadrupling it. But because I have nice big fat garlic cloves here, I have gone with 7 of them. I also have some zucchini that we're going to be using for this. Some beautiful celery. Look at the celery. Isn't that gorgeous? I still, even though I've been gardening for as long as I have, I get a little bit of a thrill, I have to admit, when I bring produce like this into my house and I get to make something like I'm about to make with all produce from my own garden. It feels a little bit magical. To infuse our brine with all of these flavors, I'm using some kind of ratty looking cheesecloth here. We also have cauliflower that I've just washed, peppers and carrots in the sink, and this is by far the largest cauliflower I have ever grown. It's massive. It's bigger than my head. So we're going to be chopping up some of this to go into our Jardiniere as well. We also need some pickling salt and some pickling vinegar as well. This is a sweet pickle recipe, so there is some sugar in it as well. 2 cups of sugar for the main recipe. So I think what I'm going to do is just quickly run you through the base recipe. I am going to be quadrupling this recipe. So we need 3 bay leaves, 6 black peppercorns, 3 cloves of garlic, 4 cups of vinegar, 2 cups of water, 2 cups of granulated sugar, 1 tablespoon of pickling or canning salt, 2 cups of cauliflower, nice little small florets, 1.5 cups of pearl onions, or in this case, like I showed you, I'm using some sweet Spanish onions, 1 small zucchini, 2 carrots, 2 large red peppers, 1 yellow pepper, and 1 green pepper, but you can use whatever peppers you would like in this recipe. Just remember, whenever you're altering a recipe at all, you want to make sure that you keep the vegetable and vinegar ratios the same. So if you're going to put a different vegetable in, which you can totally do with a recipe like this, just make sure that the quantities are the same. So I am going to be quadrupling this recipe. And first we're gonna get all of our vegetables chopped up here. One of the things that always happens when I'm sharing cooking videos, because I kind of just get into what I'm doing, I sometimes forget to move the camera so that you can actually see what I am doing on the cutting board. So let's do that. There we go. So we're gonna start with slicing these guys up. And the point of slicing them is just to open them up a little bit so that you get more of the flavor infusing into the vinegar, and these are very slippery. Get our zucchini. I don't think I put zucchini in mine last year, but since we have lots of zucchini right now, we will add it in. Whenever doing any kind of pickled thing with zucchini at all, definitely scoop out the seedy part here. So all I'm doing is I have a spoon and I'm just dragging it along here, not being super graceful about it, and then scooping all the seeds out. And then we're just left with the nice dense flesh. When we did our pantry tour last year, people are always surprised by the amount of pickled products that we use. But in our family, we will go through, when we sit down and have one meal, we will go through at least a quart-sized jar of pickles. And we use them for all sorts of things. We have what we call snack plates at lunchtime fairly often, and at least once a week, once or twice a week. And we always put pickles on those. They usually have cheese and crackers and pickles and sliced fruit and things like that. So at least a couple times a week, we use a couple of jars, actual quart-sized jars of pickles. So I know it looks like a lot in my pantry, but for us, it's really not that much. I'm gonna grab a large bowl to put all this stuff into. So with the sizing for pickles like this, it really is to your own preferences. Oh, 1 second. Okay, that was just my mama. So now we are going to chop up the rest of these into some little bites. I'm leaving the skin on. You could totally take the skin off if you like, but I want the color in there. Okay, so I'm just gonna cut off. I missed some seed on that one. So there we go, those guys are all ready. We're gonna dump the onions in here. Okay, and all of these celery tops we are going to freeze dry to make some celery salt for the winter time. And now we're going to cut into this monster of a cauliflower. Oh my goodness. Yes, it is huge. So we need 8 cups of cauliflower. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So for these, we do want these to be fairly small florets. We use our beautiful cup measure. You guys were asking the other day where I got this. So this was actually sent to me by a lovely subscriber, and it is the Pioneer Woman, is the brand of it. And I hadn't actually heard of her until those were sent to me. So happy with the lack of worms in my cauliflower and my broccoli this year. There's been the odd one, but not like past years. So I used the netting and covered up my plants. That definitely helped. And then I also did spray them with BT, which is a natural insecticide, about I don't know, 4 weeks ago, maybe 6 weeks ago. And that, I think, finished off any of the ones that had gotten in underneath the netting. Okay, there we go. Carrots here, I'm going to do 4 of them. Oh, this is gonna look so beautiful when we're all done. So actually putting the peppers in a separate bowl is a good idea because they actually get added after the other veggies have cooked down for a few minutes so that they don't lose all of their color and become really mushy. If you wanted a little bit of a kick in this, I'm sure you could add some hot peppers to it. All right, we have our chopping all done, our peppers, our carrots, our cauliflower, all of that. So now I'm going to put together with our garlic and our bay leaves, our peppercorns. Where did I put those? There they are. 24 peppercorns. And this is going to go in our pot with our vinegar and our water and our sugar. We need 2, 4, 6, 8 cups of water. All right, 16 cups of vinegar. And how much sugar do we need? And we need 8 cups of sugar. You are actually sitting on top of my steam canner right now, so I have to find something else to prop you on and get my steam canner on the stove. My steam canner is the Fruit Saver steam canner. Several of you had asked, and the timing for the steam canner is the same as for water bath canning. So we're going to be steam canning this for 10 minutes. Okay, so I had that wrong. We have to boil the brine for 5 minutes, and then we add all of the carrots and what else is in here? The onions and the zucchini and the cauliflower into here. Return it to a boil, turn off the heat, add the peppers, and then jar it all up. We're just about to the fun part. And add our veg to this very carefully so we don't splash ourselves with hot vinegar. Oh, eyes burning. Oh my goodness. Isn't that beautiful? So we're going to bring this back up to a boil and pull it off the heat, add our peppers, and jar it up. I just about forgot to add the salt. So 4 tablespoons of salt. So I'm just going to fill these up with all the veggies and then top them with the brine. And I'm going to have a ton of brine left over here, so I am going to can up the rest of the peppers that I have, the jalapenos that I got last week, and use up this brine here. I think that I'm actually going to make up another batch of this. And so I'm just debubbling, taking the bubbles out. This one I overfilled a little bit, so I'm going to take some of that off. Because I would like to have at least, I don't know, 18 jars of this for the pantry. Just because I know my hubby loves it so much.
Here you go, Mommy.
Oh, that looks beautiful. So now we're just going to can this for 10 minutes. Chop up these jalapenos and get these jarred up. Okay, so we're going to can those back there for 10 minutes. I just turned the timer on.
it over, everyone.
Thank you. And I have even more brine, which means I'll probably chop up some more veggies and get those pickled up too. Probably just do some more of the Jardiniare. These are pretty too. Look at how pretty that looks, and it's very hot. Well, those are canning. We're gonna run down to the garden and see about the green beans. And I still have all of these giant zucchinis and that gorgeous cabbage. And I was looking up pickle relish, which one of you had shared with me on my live on Friday. And it looks really good, and it actually calls for cabbage. So maybe we'll do that later. If I do end up canning some of that, I will share it with you as well. But then I think that'll do us for relish for the year. How are things looking in the bean department here? Not really. Oh, there's a couple. There's a few beans in there. These guys got hit by the frost. Look at that. Beans are super, super sensitive to cold. Oh, that one down there did too. Oh my goodness, I do not see very many beans on these plants at all. Thank goodness I am going to be able to buy green beans bulk from a local farm, because I am gonna get maybe a handful off of my own plants. The beans got in late, like lots of my seeds did this year, so I'm not super surprised by that outcome. The green beans, potatoes, what else? Squash. I'm not sure about the squash yet. And tomatoes. Not the best year I've ever had. Great zucchini year, but it's always a great zucchini year. So that is it for us today, my friends. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye.